A child named Jack comes on the scene as the movie starts. His father was farmer. Jack used to like to hear the stories, especially about barons and kings. He was inspired by a king's story. It is the story of that time, when a king used to rule over a country. In that king's reign, some pastors prepared the beans which were not ordinary. Those were specially the magical beans. The purpose behind the making of these seeds was to be in confrontation of God, flying into heaven. They sowed those seeds which grew a taller tree. That giant tree was skyrocketing, and pastors were thinking as its way is leading to heaven. Going up the tree, they knew that there is one other world between earth and heaven. It is a perilous place where the giants live who are taller than human beings. Those giants quickly understood as they are human beings when they encounter them to come there. Finding the track to earth, they come down on it. They ruined everything, coming on earth. Even though they started to eat the human beings after killing. Witnessing this destruction, king's knights ended the one of the giants. Afterwards, pastors practiced sorcery on its heart, pulling it out. And he created a magical crown with that heart. The most shocking thing is this: when king went before the giants wearing that crown, then those giants knelt down before the king, and they accepted him their king because of the possession of that crown. Then king commanded the giants to return to their own state. Then king made that tree cut down after the departure of those all giants. And king saved the seeds of that tree forever. And those seeds and crown were buried in the coffin with that king at his death. And this story was also favored of Princess, along with Jack. Being the part of Jack's ancestry, Princess' mother used to tell this story to her. 10 years later, Jack is shown who had grown up now, and he is going to a city for his horse's sale. Reaching in that city, he observes that the same king's play is being performed, whose stories were told to him in his childhood. And he also enters to watch the play. There is also a girl who was princess. Being disguised, she is unrecognizable by anyone as she is princess. Then some people begin to tease Princess. Jack comes ahead to defend the princess, and a boy lands a punch on his face. All bend themselves as Jack threatens them. Jack thinks they had become fearful, but he knows after returning that they had approached there with the princess, and it was the cause of their kneeling down, and Princess accompanies them. Then Roderick appears, with whom Princess's father was willing to marry his daughter. But he was not according to liking of Princess, and she was not willing to marry him. Roderick notices his study room where everything is shattered. He detects what is wrong here, and he finds a crown in a plant pot, and it was made of giant's heart a year ago. But one thing was also missing from the book. Roderick commands his courtiers to block the entire city and search out that pastor from anywhere. A pastor comes to Jack when he is in the city for the selling of his horse. He says, "I want to buy your horse." Jack says, there should be a mount for it, and pastor had no penny. Pastor gives some beans to Jack and reveals something about father. You will get your payment after giving these beans to him. Jack says who awards a mount in the place of beans. Pastor replies, these are not ordinary beans but magical. Being mighty, they can bring a change in the whole world. They are also rare, so never lose it at any cost. Above all, never dip it in the water. And pastor leaves, buying Jack's horse. Going ahead, he is caught. Jack's uncle gets furious on Jack as he returns to the house. What is this? You bring beans in place of the horse. That pastor has befooled you. And he drops those beans down in fury. Jack begins to gather those beans on the ground, but one of them is dropped down from the wooden holes. It remains unnoticed by Jack. It was raining outside, and Princess was passing through that place because she was not ready to marry Roderick, so she had sneaked out from her house. Princess takes a shelter to avoid rain in that wooden house. Jack knows that she is Princess, so both begin conversing with each other. Suddenly, the rainwater penetrates in that bean passing through that wooden hole, which was on the ground. Pastor had said that it should not be touched by water. Dipping in the water, that bean begins to grow there. The roots of that beanstalk were under the house, so it takes the house upward, while growing. And Princess was entrapped there. Princess is gone upside with growing tree in spite of her safety by Jack. Next morning, Princess's father King arrives. He notices a tallest tree, which is skyrocketing. Its ending is not perceivable. Jack reveals the whole story. King arranges the things and says, "Go and save my daughter." Roderick says, "I will also go to save my future wife because I love her." Jack was also wanted to go with them, so they accompany him. While climbing up the tree to the sky, Roderick deliberately cuts the rope. Due to this, a few knights are fallen down and are dead, and they reach their planned place, which was between heaven and earth. Upon reaching their destination, Roderick says to Jack, "I know that you possess those magical beans. Give it to me." Roderick seizes those beans, threatening with knife. But Jack keeps a bean in his possession. Each group, consisting 3 members, begin to search for the princess, going separately. There was a threat of life everywhere. A giant appears before Jack's group. He leaves while capturing the both companions of Jack. Jack goes after it, because he wanted to search out the princess in any way. He was aware that princess will be hidden where this giant is going. Then Roderick is shown with his companions. Roderick pushes one of them down because he was not his companion. Then a giant appears in front of them, and it kills Roderick's companion before him. Now it is about to kill Roderick. But Roderick brings out a magical crown. It was the same crown made of giant's heart 1,000 years ago. King had made it, which also had a spell. It is obvious that giants will obey that person who possesses this crown. So wearing that crown, Roderick reaches a place where the crowd of giants was present. There was also Princess with one of the companions, who had been brought here after being captured by a giant. All giants kneel down themselves before him. Roderick also orders the leader of giants to bend itself before him, and it also carries it out. Roderick holds the throne, keeping his foot on its head. He says, "I am your king from now on. We will go on earth and enslave everyone." A giant brings Princess and Jack's companion fighter into a kitchen with it. Jack reaches there as it is nearly to eat that fighter. Taking out a big knife, Jack attacks it before giant kills him. And that knife is stabbed into that giant, which is dead at the spot. In this way, Jack rescues that fighter. Then 3 of them leave that place. They reach a place where they could move to Earth through a tree. But there is a big sleeping giant, and they could not escape in its presence. So Jack and Fighter arrange a wasp hive, and they free those wasps in its face armor after taking it off. Consequently, that giant awakens and begins to fuss. Losing its stability, that giant falls on the earth. King notices it and alerts that giants are wanting to come down now. He orders his knights to cut down this tree, because those giants will demolish everything if they come on Earth, and no one will be able to stop this destruction. That fighter suggests to Princess and Jack, "Go on Earth while I stay here, because I want to stop Roderick at any cost. He will bring disaster everywhere, coming on Earth, and I know his tricks." And that fighter stays there. And Princess and Jack start to descend through Beanstalk. King allows to cut the tree down unwillingly, because he knew that tree is a threat for the whole world, and it may be the cause of the disaster. Contrarily, Roderick is gearing up to come on Earth with the giants. The fighter was also hidden there. That fighter attacks Roderick before the giants begin to descend, and he kills him, and the crown is fallen there from Roderick's head. It is shown on Earth that knights had cut down that tree, and that tree begins falling steadily. That fighter is falling down with that tree. Further, Princess and Jack also go about falling with the tree, but 3 of them survive, and leader of giants gets that crown, and he puts it on its fingers, and all giants accept him as his king. But they could not go to Earth because of the cutting down of the tree. These were same magical beans. They find a little pouch there which had the same beans. The king giant throws those beans into the water, and the giant trees begin to grow there. Those giants direct those trees towards Earth and set about to proceed. King gets his daughter and feels excitement, gratifying Jack. But he was unaware that Jack and Princess have started to like each other. Being a layman, Jack leaves from there, saying valediction to Princess. While leading to his house, Jack notices that those trees are again making their way to Earth. He understands that it has been occurred due to those beans snatched by Roderick. Now those giants want to come on Earth. Riding on horse, he moves to reveal to King that there is a threat of life for everyone. Jack approaches to Princess and the king. He informs, giants have come. Meantime, giants had surrounded that place. They had started to prevail the disaster. King and Jack gallop to the palace in order to save their lives, because they could save them reaching there, otherwise they might be the victim of giants, because those belong to the king's ancestry where the story began, and the giants will never let go of this family. because that king had sent them back wearing that crown. They all come to palace before any harm on Giant's part. But Jack is left behind. He orders to withdraw the beanstalk through which they had come here. But Jack comes up exactly before going upward. Giant's head catches that beanstalk. That fighter orders to shoot the arrows continuously, and they carry it out. And the leader of giants falls into the water. There was burning fire, so it could not come up from that place. So he begins to search another way, going into the water. The door was being shut, but giants were pulling the door towards them with the help of ropes, while king's knights are pulling door towards them. And those giants throw those burning trees into the palace. A giant throws it at the palace wall while targeting it, and the palace's wall is smashed. Seeing it, King is disappointed that it is difficult to stop them. King asks Princess to go into a room. There is a secret way. It will lead you to a place where you will find a fire torch. You may light that fire torch so people may be alerted that we are in trouble. Jack and Princess leave to their assigned task. As they move to the fire torch in the palace, then earth begins to burst. Because that fallen leader of the giants in the water was coming out, tearing up the ground. Coming out, he attacks and catches both of them. Jack takes out that last magical bean when Giant is about to eat him. It was kept safely by him. But Jack throws it into its stomach. Giant feels weirdly as Bean goes into its body, and he leaves both of them. And those trees begin to grow in its stomach. As a result, its body is split apart. And its cut hand with magical crown falls near Jack. On the opposite, all giants had entered the palace, and King and all knights were standing in front of them, and they were facing death. Immediately, all giants kneel down, and they become thoughtful as what happened. Turning back, they notice Jack, who was stood, holding that crown, and he places that crown on his head. And he orders all giants, "Go back to your state." All trees are cut down as all giants leave. Afterwards, Jack and Princess get married. They also had 2 kids who are being told the giant stories by Jack, as he had been hearing since his childhood. The kids ask, "Where is that crown?" Jack tells, "That crown is still secure because it has been made marvelous. It has been placed to show off. People come to have its look from remote areas. And its truth is still unrevealed." And the movie completes with its melodramatic story.